In this episode, we follow the story of Terry Cartwright, a 35-year-old mother of 5 who was eager to go scuba diving after a year of not being in the water. She was surrounded by playful sea lions as she descended into the crystal-clear waters. However, a momentary pause to equalize her ears cost her her life. This is the terrifying shark attack of Terry Cartwright. Welcome to my channel. On June 5, 1993, a family of 7, led by Ian Cartwright as the skipper, set out to sea on the Australian Maritime College vessel River Esco in the Bass Strait near the Tasmanian coast. Their destination was the uninhabited Barrenjoey seal convoy on 10th Island, known for its large breeding colony of sea lions and being a nature reserve for diving and snorkeling. Terry Cartwright, who was part of the staff at the Australian Maritime College and University of Tasmania, was excited to join her colleagues Stephen and Josephine in observing the sea lions' behavior. Once they reached the island, Terry asked her husband Ian to anchor in a channel on the southern side, and the group geared up for diving. Stephen went in first, and Terry followed soon after, but she was lagging behind due to equipment issues, but finally caught up with the group as they descended into the crystal-clear waters. Terry was an experienced scuba diver who had not been in the water for over a year. She was excited to be back in the ocean and among the marine wildlife she loved so much. Once in the water, Terry signaled that she was okay but was having trouble adjusting her equipment. As she fumbled with her regulator and mask, Stephen and Josephine began swimming towards 10th Island. As they swam, seals came up to them, their faces inches from the divers' masks. Stephen ducked underwater and saw the sea lions darting around, swimming up to the divers' feet and then swimming away. Ian, Terry's husband, and another crew member shouted for Terry to hurry up and catch up to the others as it was safer to stick together as a group. Eventually, Terry fixed her equipment and saw her friends 20 meters away. Despite not being in the water for a while, Terry was a fit 35-year-old and quickly caught up to the others. The 3 of them floated on the surface for a few moments before descending just meters from the rocks of 10th Island. Terry was in awe of the scenery and watched as the sea lions gracefully swam by. Stephen and Josephine reached the bottom of the ocean and saw Terry paused in her descent. She was struggling to equalize her ears as she dove deeper. Suddenly, she was hit by a force that knocked the air out of her lungs, and the regulator was ripped from her mouth. Stephen and Josephine watched in shock as a great white shark attacked Terry, dragging her deeper and deeper until she was out of sight. The 2 divers were too scared to move, but eventually made a run for the island and resurfaced as fast as they could. Leon and the children had been observing from the boat and noticed a disturbance but did not know the terrible event that had taken place in the depths. Stephen and Josephine emerged from the water onto 10th Island and urgently called for Ian to bring the boat to them, realizing something was wrong and Terry was missing. Ian Cartwright and Ian Rinkin quickly boarded the 11-foot dinghy and hurried to the island, where they were informed of the tragic news about his wife. The grief-stricken Ian searched the area with his boat for half an hour and then had to break the devastating news to his 6-year-old quadruplets and 11-month-old son who were waiting on the boat, without any sign of Terry above the water. Ian contacted Bell Bay for assistance and a search and rescue operation began. During the afternoon, parts of Terry's wetsuit were found floating a kilometer away from the attack site, including one of her legs, with the yellowfin still attached. However, no other traces of Terry were ever found. When we enter the underwater world of the marine environment, it is important to remember that we are in the domain of predators and that we must always be aware of our surroundings. With an abundance of prey in the waters off 10th Island, great white sharks are known to frequent the area and often prey on young sea lion pups that are inexperienced in the water. Any injured sea lions or stragglers are easy targets for a 15-foot great white shark. As Terry had paused halfway in the water column, suspended briefly as she tried to equalize her ears, she may have been interpreted as a struggling sea lion.
Dressed predominantly in black, and among swarms of sea lions, many believe that it was a case of mistaken identity that led to Terry Cartwright's devastating and heartbreaking death.